Good evening. Welcome to the National News Broadcast. I'm Kasuni Balachandra.
Good evening, I'm Clifford Richards. First of all, we take a look at the headlines.
The third reading of the budget passed by a majority of 93 votes. The finance minister says the aim of the government is to improve the economy by repaying debts without getting more loans. The booster vaccine will be given to all those above 30 years from tomorrow. The president instructs officials to complete giving the booster dose before the festive season. The ban on tourists of 6 African countries by Sri Lanka has been lifted.
Moving on to those and other stories in detail. The budget 2022 was passed by a majority of 93 votes today. 157 members voted in favor of the budget, while 54 voted against. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa presented Budget Speech 2022 on the 12th of last month. The second reading of the budget commenced on the 13th of November. The second reading was passed by a majority of 93 votes. The third reading of the budget commenced on the 23rd of last month following the budget debate which took place until this afternoon. Chief Opposition Whip Lakshman Kiriyala requested for a vote on the budget. Accordingly, the voting on the third reading of the budget took place. 137 members voted in favour while 54 voted against the budget. Parties representing the opposition, including Samaga Jana Balavegaya, Jatika Jana Balavegaya and Tamil National Alliance, voted against the budget. Accordingly, Budget 2022 was passed with a majority of 93 votes in Parliament today. Speaker Mahinda Yapabewardena said that 157 members have voted in favour of the third reading, while 54 have opposed. Accordingly, the third reading has been approved by the House. It is hereby informed that third reading of the Appropriation Bill 2022 was passed with amendments.
Meanwhile, Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa says the aim of the government is to improve the economy by repaying debts but not getting more loans. The minister said all steps will be taken to make the economy satisfactory next year. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa mentioned this in his reply speech of the budget in Parliament today. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa said there is a foreign currency fund. Each dollar that has to be paid next year will be paid. $3,607 million were received in 2019, but only $100 million were received from foreign tourists this year. Think about the crisis due to the COVID pandemic. The situation occurred due to the activities of last 5 years of the opposition. Foreign investments did not come soon as we expect. 3 Fortune 500 companies are expected to be brought to the country by the end of this year. It is not a new thing to go to the IMF. Went to the IMF in 1961 as well. The government has completed an IMF program meeting all its conditions. $500 million, which is the highest amount given to a country by the World Bank, has been given to the Ministry of Highways and agreement has been signed. Loans of 15,000 have been reduced to 13,000. Efforts are made to reduce oil bill by using renewable other sources. Foreign exchange can be saved by reducing fuel consumption of vehicles and funds used to generate electricity. Then debts can be paid, he said. Meanwhile, looking at the local COVID-19 situation, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has instructed Special COVID Eradication Committee members to complete giving the booster dose within the next 2 weeks to control the spread of the COVID pandemic during the forthcoming festive season. The President gave these instructions during a discussion with the committee at the Presidential Secretariat today. Well, the persons who have completed 3 months after getting the second dose of the COVID vaccine are qualified to get the booster. Opportunity will be given from tomorrow to get the Pfizer vaccine as the booster from any place where vaccines are given. It has been observed that a higher percentage of COVID patients reported at present have not taken a vaccine. Health authorities said the majority of them are youth. It is compulsory to get a vaccine to reduce the number of deaths and to prevent becoming serious in case infected. The President instructed to take steps to give vaccines soon by educating youth in this regard. Legal advice has been sought to prevent persons who had not taken a vaccine from entering public places. The COVID committee decided today to make it compulsory to produce the vaccine card to enter public places in the future. Approval has been given to give the second dose to the children between 16 and 19 years and the first dose to the children between 12 and 15 years. The President instructed to expedite giving the vaccines by planning the Education Ministry. The number of foreign tourist arrivals has increased and airlines have increased flight frequencies as well. The President has instructed to further relax limits considering the promotion of the tourism industry. The Ministry of Health has taken steps to give the booster dose to all citizens above 30 years from today. Persons who have completed 3 months after getting both doses can get the booster. The booster dose is scheduled to be given at district level. Health Ministry said that the persons infected with COVID-19 after getting both doses can get the booster dose after 6 months of their recovery. 30,846,499 doses have been given to the people under the COVID vaccination program. 15,550,598 have been given as the first dose, 13,779,935 as both doses. 1,115,666 have been given as the booster. 567 COVID patients were found from the country today. 12,466 are undergoing treatment. 377 recovered today. 544,200 have recovered so far. The Director General of Health Services confirmed 18 COVID-related deaths, which occurred yesterday. 15 out of them are 60 and above 60 years of age. The ban imposed on travellers from 6 African countries has been immediately lifted. Accordingly, all airline passengers arriving in Sri Lanka should undergo the quarantine regulations issued on the 25th of October. A travel ban was imposed on travellers from South Africa, Botswana, Lesotho, Namibia, Zimbabwe and Swaziland due to the spread of the Omicron variant.
The Director General of Health Services, Dr. Hemant Herath, briefed on the program for the inoculation of the booster dose to fully vaccinated people in the country. He further urged all eligible persons for the booster dose to be vaccinated as soon as possible in order to avert another COVID outbreak in the country.
We know that reports have been published in several media that the third dose or the booster dose of COVID-19 vaccine is giving only in Colombo metropolitan area or Colombo Municipal Council area. But we know that based on the recommendations of the Advisory Committee on Communicable Diseases, the Director General of Health Services has already issued instructions to give the third dose or the booster dose of COVID-19 vaccines to every citizen above 30 years of age, and therefore this third dose is given in all parts of the country through the relevant medical officers of area. So everyone who has taken the first 2 doses of COVID-19 vaccine, irrespective of the type of vaccine, those who have completed 3 months after getting the second dose of relevant vaccine are eligible to get the third dose of COVID-19 vaccine. So therefore I would like to request everyone to get their vaccination as early as possible in view of the probable more and more close interactions that people might encounter during the festive season and end of the year. It is very important to get your vaccine booster dose of the vaccination as early as possible. This third dose will definitely boost your immunity and make sure that the likelihood of getting into complications or ending up in death will be greatly reduced. So therefore it is very important to get this booster dose of vaccine. However, we need to emphasize the fact that even you get the third dose of vaccine, you are not 100% protected from getting infected. So therefore you are supposed to adhere to the health guidelines to the letter to get yourself protected from infection. However, we know that once everyone gets vaccinated, their immunity is high and therefore the load of virus that is produced within the body and released to the environment will be low. So therefore it will help indirectly to reduce the spread of the disease.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has instructed officials to expedite development activities at the historic Solas Mastana in Polonnaruwa. He has given the instructions during a discussion yesterday at the Temple Trees on development activities. Anunayaka of the Asgiri chapter and Chief Prelate of Polonnaruwa Sulusmasthana, Venerable Vendaruwe Upalithero, pointed out the need to light up the sacred areas. The Prime Minister instructed Chairman of the Electricity Board and the Director General of the Central Cultural Fund to make immediate measures. The Prime Minister instructed the Secretary to the Ministry of Highways to develop roads inside the sacred area. A special attention was paid on the Sacred Area Development Plan. The Prime Minister instructed the District Secretary to allocate a part of the income received by the Polonnaruwa District Secretariat through sand mining to the development of the sacred area. India will provide $15 million to develop sacred areas for the next 5 years. Prime Minister's Secretary Gamini Senrath, who attended the discussion, said that a part out of that will also be utilized to develop Sulusmasthana. The Prime Minister instructed Secretary to the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs to supervise the development activities. Trustees of Polonnaruwa Galvihara, Venerable Kandakati Attadasithero, Minister Chamal Rajapaksa, State Ministers Roshan Ranasinghe, Vidura Vikramanayake and Siripala Gamlat and MP Amarakiri Tatakorala attended the discussion.
A fleet of ships belonging to the Navy is on entourage for public view near the Golface Green in Colombo in connection with the Navy's 71st anniversary. Well, the biggest fleet of Navy Gajabahu, Sidurala, Samudra, Suranimala, Nandimitra, Mihikata and Ratnadeepa ships are on display. The ships were flying Navy flags and lowering of the flags traditionally and lighting up took place yesterday. The Navy said the ships will be on display until tonight.
Poland has agreed to give full support to the proposed Sri Lanka Chartered Journalism Institute. Poland's ambassador in Sri Lanka, Adam Burakowski, said during this meeting with Minister Dallas Alahaperuma. The meeting took place at the Ministry of Mass Media. The Poland's ambassador, who had worked as Poland's radio administrative official, praised the efforts of the minister to set up the Journalism College. Sri Lanka Chartered Journalism Institute will be established according to local and international standards. The cabinet has already approved the proposal. Discussion took place on signing a memorandum of understanding on cultural and educational activities to enhance cooperation between the two countries. Discussions were also held on building a strong cooperation between Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation and Poland's radio. Holding a ceremony in connection with completing 50 years of diplomatic relations between Poland and Sri Lanka was also discussed. Poland's embassy is located in New Delhi and it conducts diplomatic activities with Sri Lanka and other countries from there.
The Coconut Development Authority said that the new Coconut Triangle in Jaffna will be launched soon. Chairman of the authority, Kirti Sri Vikramasinghe, said they expect to develop a local coconut industry by twofold within an year. A special discussion in this regard took place at the Coconut Development Authority in Narayanpeta yesterday. The new Coconut Triangle is scheduled to be set up, linking Jaffna, Kilinochchi, Mannar, Mullaitivu and Babunia areas. The new branch of the authority for the purpose has been planned to be opened on the 10th of next month. The authority expects to generate 5,000 new jobs through the project.
Spokesman of the Ministry of Power and Energy, Sulakshana Jayawardena, says that electricity can be given continuously without interruptions from today. He mentioned this to media this morning. Media spokesman of the Ministry of Power and Energy, Sulakshana Jayawardena, said that he expects to provide electricity without interruption from today. Electricity was given continuously before the 3rd. However, electricity supply was curtailed for 1 hour due to the failure of the system. On some attentions, the power interruption was limited to half an hour. Considering the present capacity, it is possible to manage the supply without limits.
Veteran film director Sunil Somaperis passed away today at the age of 73. Late Mr. Sunil Somaperis has entered the cinema field as the assistant director of Gahanyak film of Yasapalita Nanayakara. He directed 54 films, among them are Jayapita Jaya, Diura Kiyanna, Jaya Apatai, Mamai Raja, Rajavadakaryo, Yuktiyata Vada and Obatai Priye Adare. He was called king of box office since many of his films were able to register income records. He's also an actor, producer and scriptwriter. The funeral of late Sunil Somapere is scheduled to be held at Maharagama Godigamua Public Cemetery on Sunday.
And that's a wrap on tonight's news. We'll see you tomorrow at the very same time.
Good night.